I bring to you a public service announcement. The Dems are on X or Twitter stating that Trump essentially has dementia. I watched this clip of a speech he gave in Summerville, South Carolina. I watched this speech and boy oh boy, I'm concerned. We don't need to throw a figurehead up there in the executive suite. Unlike our adversaries, we need to carefully vet our candidates, of which we hold up to the task of leading our great nation. The claim made is that Trump is confusing Jeb Bush and George Bush in a speech. I'll go ahead and play the whole clip for you and then give you my analysis.
Season starts, we start in Iowa, we go to New Hampshire, we come down here. You know, the beauty was when I came here, everyone thought Bush was going to win. And then they took a poll and they found out Trump was up by about 50 points. Everyone said, what's going on right here? They thought Bush, because Bush supposedly was a military person. Great. You know what he was a military? He got us into the Middle East. How did that work out, right? But they all thought that Bush might win. Jeb. Remember Jeb? He used the word Jeb. He didn't use the word Bush. I said, you mean he's ashamed of the last name? And then they immediately started using the name Bush. Never forget it.
So that's the whole thing. It is sufficient context to make a determination. One commenter notes, he just talks, free association, just jumping from one topic to another. I can't imagine how bad he must be when he's always away from the media. Some of our claims he's reading from a teleprompter. I think it's impromptu. The reason why this clip is concerning is because of proximity. So Jeb Bush governed Florida from 1999 to 2007. Just as it's appropriate for the everyday American to know who the Secretary of State is and who the Vice President is, it's appropriate for a candidate running for president to know who his previous running opposition party opponent was, especially if that opponent was the governor of a state. And I state this because looking at the clip, I can see possible unforced errors Trump has made here. He used Bush without Jeb initially, possibly because he had forgotten Jeb's name, and then recovered saying Jeb halfway through. Because he had forgotten the first name, the tendency to associate with George Bush was greater in that instant, leading to the reference about military association in Afghanistan. There's a wavering in the voice indicating nervous tension, which I'll show you.
You know what? He was a military. He got us into the Middle East. How did that work out, right? But they all thought that Bush.
And so then I perceive this second part as a clever recovery by emphasizing just the first name and then stating that his opponent didn't really use Bush, but rather the first name, maybe as an apology for initially forgetting Jeb Bush.
Thought that Bush might win. Jeb. Remember Jeb? He used the word Jeb. He didn't use the word Bush. I said, you mean he's ashamed of the last name? And then they immediately started using the name Bush.
Some commenters have stated that he was actually referring to two Bushes. He would refer to Bush in association with George Bush and then later transitioned to Jeb Bush. But this argument is refuted because he basically starts off talking about running against Bush, which could only have been Jeb Bush. Giving Trump the benefit of the doubt, you could assume he created a deliberate tangent from Jeb Bush to George to create the general sense of Bush being associated with actions overseas and therefore him being an honorable, respectable candidate, and then to juxtapose Jeb's shame with the concept by hiding the last name. And so the criticism for that assumption would be that he nestled a nuanced point in too short of an interval of speaking for something that really needed much lengthier delivery. I don't tend to buy this because he didn't initially say Jeb Bush before going into the nameless Bush. He just said Bush, and this creates the implication that he initially forgotten the name Jeb and then later recalled it after he went through the association of Bush with Afghanistan or the Middle East. I'm not completely convinced that Trump has missed a step. I would say that I'm nearly mostly convinced, as this is probably, if a gaffe, the worst gaffe I've seen from Trump. He is at an age where the dementia could start to set in. And a thing that I fear is that because he's been so warm to the COVID pinch, encouraging his citizens to also take up the COVID pinch, I'm concerned that he has accepted the COVID pinch into his life as his personal mRNA messenger. I'm aware of scientific concerns of those who accepted the original COVID love bump into their lives, possibly receiving low-grade inflammation, which may result in a constant cycle of inflammation-induced organ injury and injury-induced inflammation. There's concerns for telomere shortening due to oxidative damage, and this is for an article, Does the COVID Love Bunch Accelerate the Aging Process? It's known that the COVID love bump can shrink several parts of the brain, and so it's not yet proven, but I speculate the possibility that the COVID pinch might also affect the brain. And if Trump had accepted a COVID pension to his life, we know he did receive the COVID love bump and accepted treatment of monoclonal antibody to defeat it. Might Trump have accelerated aging in his brain, leading to the dementias? I want Trump to be the CIC just like the rest of you, but I also want a qualified man who is going to help save the world, not someone who's going to be taken advantage of by the unscrupulous. And so I feel that we need to carefully vet Trump to ensure that his cognitive capabilities are still up to par. We know that Vivek Ramaswamy is likely in the IQ above 150 club and has the cognitive prowess to lead. It's just many do not trust him, partly due to his age and partly due to concerns of WEF connections. There is true dark horse Eric John Berner, who has suspended his campaign, I believe in context of not making it to the debate stage. I had the opportunity to speak with him, so I know his level of sharpness, and I think he too could be challenging Vivek Ramaswamy. I would put both of these candidates up over DeSantis if it turns out that Trump is starting to succumb to age. Again, for this video, the main reasons why I think it's a potential red flag regarding Trump's cognitive status is because of the initial non-use of the full name Jeb Bush, possibly indicating temporarily forgetting the person who governed the state he lived in, and also nervous tension from Trump as he was explaining Bush's popularity from the Middle East before very shrewdly recovering at the end by turning the attention to Jeb not liking his last name. This is either 4D chest or it's a red flag. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. Thanks. Peace.
You've been chosen.